But it's still late on a Tuesday night on the West Coast. But our Wednesday show, and we are heading in to the day before the NBA Finals, and it is then on like Donkey Kong. Thursday night from the Rocky Mountains. Have you been following the buildup? You say, what buildup? Yeah, there's buildup. I didn't say it was great buildup, but there is buildup. And so if you haven't been paying attention, the Denver Nuggets head coach Michael Malone trying to fill up the content machine for struggling gas bags and blowhards who talk about pro bouncy ball. So Michael Malone, if you don't know, he's the coach of the pro basketball team in Denver, Michael Malone. And he was asked about the seeding. One of the storylines is a David versus Goliath type matchup. The Nuggets, who had the great regular season, are the Goliath, and yet again Miami, even though they were in the NBA Finals, although it was the bogus sham bubble finals a couple years ago, that Miami, they are the ragtag, unkempt basketball team. So that's the storyline a lot of people are latching onto, thinking that they can sell that will captivate the hearts, minds, and souls of the average consumer, which is what these sports leagues try to get to watch the championship round. So with that as the background, Michael Malone does not want to hear anything about Miami being a number 8 seed. And as Warner Wolf would say, let's go to the audio tape.
Well, as I told our team, man, forget the 8 seed stuff. I mean, they beat Milwaukee 4-1. Team had the most wins in the NBA this year. They beat Boston 4-3, and they're up 3-0. Team with, I think, the second most wins in the NBA this year. So you get to the NBA Finals, it's not about seeding anymore. And for those that are thinking that this is going to be an easy series, I don't even know what to say to you people. I mean, this is going to be the biggest challenge of our lives. It's the NBA Finals. This is, you're trying to win the first NBA championship in franchise history. And it's going to be the hardest thing that we've ever done, which is the way it should be.
I think this monologue is the hardest thing I've ever done, the biggest challenge of my life. Wow. Okay, a little over the top, a little dramatic. We like it. We're not against it. We're not opposed to it. It's fine. But Michael Malone, you heard there, you don't even know what to say. People that think the series is going to be easy and all that. So let us discuss the question on this one. Michael Malone, you heard the soundbite. Why is the Nuggets head coach, Michael Malone, saying that the Miami Heat being an 8 seed is not relevant to the finals? That's essentially what he's saying. We paraphrase, but that's essentially what Michael Malone is saying. So why is he saying that? I've got sinus infection, picky eaters, and garden. And we will combine all of these things together. All of these things, we will throw them into a pot, and we will cook them for 10 to 15 minutes is what we're going to do. So, Michael Malone is being a diplomat, is what he's being, to a point, right? He's being a diplomat with that response that we played, the clip, but he's able to kill 2 birds with 1 stone or 1 bullet or whatever. And the way he did that, on one hand, Malone is pumping up the tires on the bandwagon of the Miami Heat. And you throw out the records now. It's the NBA Finals. And even though Miami barely made the postseason and was one of the worst offensive teams in the NBA during the regular season, it's like, that's just subterfuge now, that we're supposed to forget about all that. So he's pumping up the tires, going through all that. Miami an 8 seed and all that. But they've earned the right. They have earned the right to be in the NBA Finals because the regular season is irrelevant. The teams don't even try, most of them, in the regular season. We've seen that's a problem with that business. And so that point is not wrong. However, the bigger meaning here of Michael Malone's diatribe, his little rant, because he took care of the sinus infection. Now, what do I mean in layman's terms? I know it's a medical condition, a sinus infection, but essentially what I mean by that is Malone he's trying to downplay the mismatch, because if you say that Denver is tangibly better than Miami, if you make that statement, then it would be a huge disgrace and embarrassment for the Nuggets if they were to lose to the Miami Heat, right? And every man, woman, and child that pays attention to this stuff knows by throwing out the seeding, you then remove some of the ear pressure. Some of that pressure in the back of your ear, you remove it when you bring that up. And Michael Malone, what he should have done is channeled Dick, as in Dick Stockton, the friend of retired sportscaster Dick Stockton, who famously told me years ago, I had him on Fox Sports Radio. Dick Stockton was calling the worst game on Fox on an NFL Sunday. And I remember what game it was. It was Tampa Bay and the 49ers. The Niners were terrible. The Bucs were a little better than terrible. And there was really no reason to watch. And I brought up all these stats that were besmirching both teams. And Dick Stockton, very confidently, who came on the radio to promote said broadcast, Mr. Stockton said, stats tell you what has happened, not what's going to happen. By the way, the game sucked, just for the record. Anyway, page 2 here. Will this become the Nikola Jokic NBA Finals? So I'm shaking my head no in terms of the marketing. Now, the chances are very strong that Nikola Jokic is going to go out and make a mockery of the Miami Heat on the court, because even when Denver doesn't win, Jokic is putting up triple-doubles. He's a generationally great player for Denver. He's been absolutely amazeballs for the Nuggets. The trophy case is bulging with all the All-Star and All-NBA and the couple of MVP trophies and all that, Eastern Conference, or Western Conference rather, Finals MVP. He just picked that one up. The pride of Northern Serbia. So he's got all that. He's got good backstory, which announcers love to talk about. They love the backstory. Heck, one of the announcers for the NBA Finals just learned who Nikola Jokic was a couple weeks ago. Shocking. A shocking revelation. But the reason I'm not buying the fact that this is going to be a Nikola Jokic NBA Finals in terms of the hype is he's a man. He's also a bland man, if you feel me on that. And that becomes problematic. It does. He's got the good nickname, the Joker. He's got the backstory and all that. But he, as much as he impacts the game on the court, off the court, the sports media landscape, I know a little bit about this. I kind of dabble in that world. And my colleagues that write for the blogs and the social media, try to get the clicks and all that, they're very picky eaters. You're very picky eaters when you're in that profession, and it is a race to generate engagement. LeBron James goes to the buffet and skips over the noodles. That's a story. That's a story. That gets clicks. Nikola Jokic dominating the NBA Finals and then giving a boring quote after the game does not generate excitement. You're clout chasing is what you're doing, and there's no dramatic miniseries with Nikola Jokic. You're trying to get engagement. There's not a lot there. Jokic he's a yummy breakfast of milk toast. You've got that. You've got a side of overcooked plain oatmeal and then some unseasoned tofu. And that's what you get. That's fine. Some people like that. Most don't, though. Most don't. All right, last word here. So what is your level of interest, pulse of the people, what is your level of interest in the 2023 finals, which will begin on Thursday night? So the time-tested Maller scale of interest, 1 to 10, with 10 being must-see TV live. You got to watch it live. So the Maller scale of interest, 1 to 10, I am at a 4. I'm only at a 4 on the Nuggets Heat NBA Finals. It is a garden variety, if you will, NBA Finals. And what I mean by that is, generic brand. The Nuggets are new. It'll get the job done, but you're not excited about it. And to be fair, I think we pointed out, because of the job that I happen to have here with the company, that I would watch any matchup because they pay me to watch. So you could put, I don't know, Sacramento and Indiana in the NBA Finals, and I would tune in. I would watch, and I would talk, and I would blab, and I would bark, and that's what I would do. I would do all of those things. It kind of goes with the job. Now, does that mean that the casual person that doesn't have this kind of job would pay attention? Probably not. But what do I like about the finals? I like the young blood, that we're not seeing another LeBron James NBA Finals or another Steph Curry NBA Finals, that we've got a franchise that has made 29 postseason trips, and now finally they have gotten to the NBA Finals, and they're not a team that's on the grid. They're off the grid. The Mountain Time Zone, not a time zone. People rip the Pacific Time Zone. Well, next to the Pacific Time Zone, the Mountain Time Zone is even worse in terms of hype and media attention and all that. And so you've got Nikola Jokic, Jamal Murray. They get their opportunity. Uncharted waters for the Nuggets, which is kind of cool. I get to watch Jimmy Butler. And if each team had guys like Jimmy Butler, multiple players like Butler, that would be a much more enjoyable sport. They don't. He's one of the few guys that plays with perseverance. He's not always great. He's not always perfect. But you're getting an effort from Jimmy Butler. He plays with some guts and guile, and you gotta love it because it stands out. It shouldn't stand out. Jimmy Butler should not stand out. The way he plays should not be a story. It's an embarrassment. It's emasculating to NBA players that Jimmy Butler stands out like a sore thumb because he just plays hard. That's it. He just plays hard. Doesn't take plays off, doesn't take weeks off, load management and all that crap. He very rarely does that. And so that's interesting. And the other things that we're not looking forward to mostly involve the presentation of the NBA Finals, the Heat culture, 649 times every broadcast. I don't need to hear about that. And anytime anyone in the Heat does anything, that player was undrafted. Undrafted. Okay, we get it. We understand. Imagine, if you will, a world where you work at a company and anywhere you go, anything you accomplish at the company, they point out. It's like Phil from accounting. We hired him. He had a high school degree. That's it. He did not go to college. That's Phil from accounting. And Phil won the top employee of the month. But that's essentially what they've done in the NBA. It's like the almighty, all-powerful draft. Do you know how many players slip through? It's only 2 rounds, the NBA draft. And some of those guys they draft never even make the NBA because they're European players and they don't want to play in the United States, so they flop before they even get there.